We gotta get the team back here on stage. Yeah. Better get them up.
Come on up under the. No, it's not. Make sure that you're wherever you want.
Everybody on the stage.
You're taller than me. You can find us.
Come up on the stage.
I'm Sergeant Jennifer Trimble, Public and Media Relations for Peel Regional Police. Can't hear.
Microphone. They can't hear you.
They can't hear. Print media.
Check. Can you hear?
These on.
Okay. Copy that.
Check it in.
You just got to turn up the other one. Check. Can you hear me now? Still can't hear me?
We'll speak loud.
Check. Good morning, once again. I'm Sergeant Jennifer Trimble, Public and Media Relations for Peel Regional Police. And I'll give you a moment to do so now. On behalf of Peel Regional Police, I want to thank you for joining us today and welcome you to our headquarters. We begin today by first acknowledging that the land on which we gather is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous people have inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe Chippewa peoples. The land that is home to the Métis and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land and by doing so give our respect to its first inhabitants. At the conclusion of this announcement, there will be an opportunity for questions. I would ask that you limit your questions specific to this news conference and limit your questions to one with one follow-up. A media officer can be available after the conference for any unrelated questions. A media release will be issued shortly after the conclusion of this conference and will include links to all of the information provided here today. A full video of the conference will also be available on Peel Regional Police YouTube channel. Today we'll hear from the following speakers: Peel Regional Police Chief Nishan Duriappa, Detective Greg O'Connor, Commercial Auto Crime, Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich, Investigative and Emergency Services Command, and Mayor Patrick Brown of the City of Brampton. I would now like to call Chief Nishan Duriappa to the podium. Chief.
Good morning, and thank you everybody for joining us today, and on a rainy day nonetheless, but we do appreciate your attendance here today because it's part of an important conversation that we're having, especially as we deal with this announcement of a significant auto theft investigation, which has led to several arrests, hundreds of criminal charges, and the recovery of tens of millions of dollars of stolen autos that we have, and the team here behind me is dubbed Project Odyssey. Joining me, as Sergeant Trimble mentioned, is Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich, in charge of Investigative Emergency Response and Command. Our Commercial Auto Crimes Bureau investigative team, many of them who you can see behind us, we feel it's absolutely important to recognize the women and men that are doing the actual work. And so the Project Odyssey team is here. We also have members of our Police Services Board that are here supporting us, Mr. Al Boughton, And of course, Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown, also a member of our Police Services Board. Thank you, sir, for being here and joining us. So since October of 2023, we have been investigating hundreds of stolen autos that have been destined for foreign markets. This is a highly orchestrated criminal operation where several individuals were responsible for stealing the vehicles through various methods, many of which we have come to know that include violent carjackings, as well as other methods of stealing vehicles for the intention of shipping overseas. Through this investigation, we've the shipping company, which happened to be family members, were collaborating with organized groups of individuals to facilitate the export of stolen autos to the United Arab Emirates and also to the ports in Oman via the Port of Montreal. Our investigators were able to not only identify the suspects involved in this, but they were also able to intercept 369 stolen vehicles, which were recovered and repatriated, which have a value of over $33 million. We have also arrested 16 individuals and laid 322 charges, and also have an additional 10 warrants for other suspects that are outstanding. In total, we will lay 340 charges related to auto theft. I should note, and it is a topic of conversation where we see repeated individuals continue to victimize our community, that 14 of the 26 arrested, so that's over half of them, were already on a form of release or bail for auto theft related offenses. This has been Peel Regional Police's most significant auto theft investigation to date, and it's a testament to the incredible work of the individuals that are standing behind me, and of which you will hear from Detective Greg O'Connor very shortly, who has details of the substantive investigation. This investigation demonstrates the role of often does get frustrated with the ability to respond and stop this problem. We have been strong advocates for the fact that it's not just a policing responsibility, but this is an example of how here at Peel Regional Police we continue to invest in this space. I should note that over the last year we have, and thankful to the support of our Police Services Board and our elected officials, doubled the size of our commercial auto crimes unit, which I must say is one of the largest in Canada right now, and the outcomes are one of which you see today. In the last 18 months, our Peel Regional Police Commercial Auto Crimes Unit has arrested nearly 200 individuals and have laid close to 1,600 auto theft related charges and have recovered close to $100 million worth of vehicles. That are vehicles that have not left our country because they've been able to intercept them and repatriate them. And just to be clear, that's $100 million worth of vehicles that have not ended into the hands of organized crime. And also prevent activities such as trafficking and firearms-related offenses, including drug offenses, that plague our community. Auto crimes have evolved and become more complex. Criminal groups, as we know, are expanding their efforts right across this country and internationally. We have seen how home invasions, carjackings have victimized our community because people are maximizing on this low-risk, high-reward criminal activity. I also have to notice, and you will see once the media release comes out, a list of all those that are being charged or associated to this project. But you will also see how these organized crime groups are victimizing young people, vulnerable young people, luring them into this equation of being involved for cash in exchange for the theft of a vehicle. Peel Regional Police, and with the support of our Peel Police Services Board, have been unequivocal in our commitment for tackling organized auto theft and strengthening our enforcement to ensure that this no longer plagues our community, which we know is still happening. But with that, we will seize more vehicles, more arrests, and more charges. Let me be clear, we are laser focused on stopping those responsible and for holding them accountable. I would also like to acknowledge the support of the provincial government via the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario for their continued support of this investigation. I'd be remiss to not also recognize the Canadian Border Services Agency, the Port of Montreal, and the Financial Transaction and Reports Analysis Centre of Canada, also known as FinTrack, for their assistance in this investigation. I have to say again, I'm proud of the women and men that are involved with this work. We know that 24/7 they are contributing to the safety of this region. It could not have been done without them, and so without further delay, I'd like to introduce Detective Greg O'Connor from our Commercial Auto Crimes Unit to give you further details on this investigation. Greg?
Thank you, Chief, and good morning. My name is Detective Greg O'Connor, and I'm the Major Case Manager for Project Odyssey. Since October 2023, the Commercial Auto Crime Bureau has been investigating several individuals part of an organized auto theft group responsible for the theft and shipment of hundreds of stolen motor vehicles. The investigation's focus has been primarily on the transportation of stolen vehicles through carjackings, extortions, and other criminal offenses throughout the Greater Toronto Area. The project began after information was received of stolen vehicles within a shipping area in the address of Highway 50 and Fogo Road in the city of Brampton. At that time, we recovered 2 stolen vehicles, a 2024 Jeep Wrangler and a 2023 Chevrolet Suburban. In December of 2023, officers received further information about a transport truck that was being loaded within stolen vehicles in the city of Mississauga. Officers were able to locate that shipping container after it left an industrial area and attended an address in Brampton. At that time, the driver of the truck was arrested, and a BMW X6 valued at $110,000 and a 2023 Ford F-150 valued at $86,000 was recovered. As the investigation continued, investigators identified a local truck company that was facilitating the shipping of motor vehicles. A local company and trucking yard were identified within the region of Peel, and a family was identified who was responsible for facilitating and loading the transportation of motor vehicles. These individuals were facilitating the shipment of stolen vehicles through local intermodal hubs within the Greater Toronto Area and traveling the 401 corridor to the Port of Montreal. The vehicles were intended to be exported to the ports in the United Arab Emirates and the Port of Oman. Based on the evidence, we believe the trucking company owners, workers, and operators were fully aware and complicit in the shipping of these stolen vehicles. Investigators also identified several individuals involved in the theft and transport of stolen vehicles to the yard from local areas within the Greater Toronto Area. We identified numerous loading locations within the region of Peel. As part of the investigation, investigators traveled to the Port of Montreal, where 37 containers were opened with the assistance of the Port Authority and Canada Border Services Agency. As a result of our investigation, we have recovered 369 vehicles. We seized 3 transport trucks and 2 stolen Bobcats, which were being facilitated at the yard, and those items have been seized as offense-related property. A total of $33.2 million was recovered in stolen vehicles before it was destined out of the country. To date, we have identified 26 suspects, including 16 who have been arrested and charged with 322 auto-related offenses. A total of 340 charges will be laid with the outstanding warrants. The following residents of Peel Region have been arrested and charged with auto theft-related offenses. Birpal Singh, 29 years old, was charged with auto theft-related offenses as well as several firearm-related offenses when a warrant was executed as residents. Harmeet Singh, 34 years old. Valbir Singh, 49 years old. Gurpreet Dillon, 41 years old. Asad Mayo, 28 years old. Jagmohan Singh, 57 years old. Mohammed Siddiqui, 40 years old. We've identified a group that was also facilitating thefts throughout the Greater Toronto Area. These residents reside in Toronto. The following are charged with these offenses. Albajon Nura, 20 years old. Yoel Elem, 20 years old. Ethan Brown, 19 years old. Asif Ul Haik, 26 years old, Florent Balaku, 23 years old, Tamid Kazi, 21 years old, and a 17-year-old young person that cannot be identified due to the Youth Criminal Justice Act. We also identified a group that was leaving the province of Quebec, traveling to the Greater Toronto Area, also facilitating and doing auto thefts. This Quebec resident has been charged with auto theft-related offenses. His name is Cloens Saint-Florent, 21 years old. We have also charged a Bolton resident who was involved in the facilitating of the loading and exporting of these vehicles, Galjinder Singh, 29 years old. Valbir Singh, Albijan Nura, Cloens Saint-Florent, Mohammed Siddiqui, Asad Mayo, and Yol Alem were already on release orders for auto theft-related offenses at the time of their arrest. We have also issued arrest warrants for the following individuals: Valid Mustamandi, 24 years old from Quebec; Benji Blaine, 31 years old from Quebec; Terrence Bellarive Toussaint, 30 years old from Quebec; Saragan Raja, 20-year-old from Toronto; Abinash Shanmuganathan, 21 years old from Toronto; Xavier Odette, 27-year-old from Quebec; Amin Shakir, 35 years old from Quebec; Giannis Adrar, 18 years old from Quebec; Nadir Benuna, 24 years old from Quebec; and a 16-year-old young person who again cannot be named due to the Youth Criminal Justice Act. We ask anyone with information in relation to these individuals to contact us at 905-453-2121, extension 3313 of the Commercial Auto Crime Bureau. We also ask if you have any information or you know of any whereabouts of these individuals, you can anonymously contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or 1-800-222-8477 to provide information on these individuals. I would like to thank the agencies who have supported and provided assistance with this investigation. It's been a lengthy one. I would also like to express my gratitude to the investigative team. Your hard work and dedication have made this investigation a major success. I would like to thank Criminal Intelligence Services Ontario, Canada Border Services Agency, the Port of Montreal, and Financial Transactions and Report Analysis Centre of Canada for their assistance in this matter. I would also like to thank the support of our management, the community, and the citizens that are supporting our efforts moving forward. I will now turn it over to Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody, and I really appreciate you making the time in this horrible weather day to join us here today. To start with, I would like to add my congratulations to Greg and the team that you see here before me. The work that this team is doing is on one of the most important issues for our community. I can tell you, it is deeply affecting our community's safety and well-being, and it's something that we are deeply invested in. As we've heard today, we've heard from the chief, we've heard from Greg, we are currently charging and arresting more people than we ever have. And we're going to continue that trend. We are recovering record amounts of stolen cars. Last year alone, you heard about what our commercial auto crime unit is responsible for, but last year alone, we recovered over 3,000 stolen vehicles. And that's being done in response to what is an obvious community concern. We hear our community. And we're going to, as I mentioned, continue doing that until the people that are involved in it and responsible for it understand it's a very simple message. Peel is not the place to come and steal cars, and it's not the place to benefit from stolen cars. I want that message loud and clear. Organized criminal networks have recognized that stealing cars are low risk and high reward. In Peel, we have also recognized that, and we are doing more in that space to make it higher risk and lower reward than a lot of other communities. It's something that we're taking the leadership role in. our community and our police service will not tolerate it. And to be quite honest, we're tired of it. Project Odyssey and many other projects conducted by our team really do demonstrate the gold standard in policing and investigations. The other thing they demonstrate is the issue. We continue to see the same issues that result in cars being taken from our communities. And those are issues that we do not hold the ability to direct, or changes and opportunities that need to be made that are not proprietary to policing. Property crime needs to be treated seriously. It needs to be treated in a way that is reflective of the feelings of our community. You've heard today that more than half of the people that we arrested in this investigation were already on some form of prior release for auto theft. Of the people that we arrested, charged, and held for bail, all of them are already out on release and back in the communities in which they live. We continue to see a constant flow of cars destined for our ports. This project, Project Odyssey, and the others you've heard about from our commercial auto crime and from the people behind us, are often oriented towards investigations that are focused on the export of stolen cars from our country. This is another opportunity for us to continue our advocacy and continue to work with our partners to begin filling the gaps that we can't direct be filled. But we're happy to continue to support our partners and advocate on behalf of our community. Again, while we can't direct those changes, we will continue to work with and encourage our partners and stakeholders who can direct those changes. This project is yet another example, and there's going to be many more to come until those changes are made and until people who would target our community understand that Peel is not the place to come and steal cars. In closing, I would once again like to thank the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario for their continued support, and we look forward to more efforts and joint efforts with them. I would also like to thank Mayor Patrick Brown and our Police Services Board. We have Al Boughton here from our Police Services Board. Our service is united as in tandem with our community to make sure that we partner and make auto theft an issue that our community no longer has to worry about. Again, congratulations to Detective Greg O'Connor and the entire team. You know, despite the barriers that we discussed, issues around legislation, frustrations around the ability to affect things that they can't change, this team shows up, continues the enforcement, and continues with the message that I started with, which is auto theft, organized auto theft in Peel is not acceptable. And if you come here, you will be arrested and charged. So again, congratulations and thank you to our women and men.
First of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Chief Nish, who continues to take an incredible leadership role in the country in combating auto theft and pointing out how organized crime is finding loopholes to make this one of the most profitable sectors in the country for organized crime. We've mentioned previously that auto theft is the third largest revenue tool for organized crime in Canada, and it's growing by the year. In 2022, it was 1.2 billion, and in 2023, it could be nearing 2 billion. This is the largest gift to organized crime in Canadian history, and Chief Nish has been the most outspoken in the country about how we solve this. And I have to say to Deputy Chief Milinovich and Detective Greg O'Connor, these are probably the two smartest minds in the country when it comes to auto theft criminality, and I'm just so grateful that we've got such an incredible team here. That the PRP is the best of the best when it comes to solving difficult crimes. The auto theft investigation team behind us, what I believe is now the largest in the country, they take very challenging investigations on and they solve it. We like to say in Peel, if there's a difficult investigation, this is the team that will put the resources and time. $100 million has been repatriated over the last 18 months. When I hear about the 366 cars that will not be sold for the purposes of organized crime, and when these cars are sold for organized crime, it's to reinvest in other crimes. The worst of the worst crimes, the most heinous crimes, is what auto theft is funding. And so the success of this project is not just incredible in the sense that these cars have been repatriated. What's incredible about it is that this is a significant fund that will no longer be going to terrify our community with other forms of crime. And so as much as I'm incredibly proud of the team here and what they've achieved, I think this announcement with Project Odyssey should also be a wake-up call for what we're dealing with. And I can be a little less diplomatic than the police leadership have to be, but this should be a wake-up call. 14 of 26 individuals already on release for auto theft-related crimes. 14 of 26. It reminds me of an incident last year at the courthouse where someone was released on bail for an auto theft crime and went and stole a car in the court parking lot. This is happening. It's why I went to meet with the Minister of Justice, Varani, to plea for to stricter conditions when it comes to property theft. We don't take property theft seriously in this country. I would note our Police Services Board wrote a letter based on the feedback we heard from the Peel Police, pleading for stricter sentencing, pleading for more stringent conditions when it comes to property crime. I also understand that 8 of the individuals who were charged in this Project Odyssey are already released. That is not acceptable. We have to do better. We can't have a criminal justice system that's a revolving door. And I have to say, when you've got an incredible team here, the best of the best when it comes to investigations, I feel it's disheartening for them that they put this incredible time to get those responsible to see them released only days later. We have to do better. And so let's celebrate the success of Project Odyssey, but let it be a wake-up call that we do need the more significant changes, and it can't be at a snail's pace. I applaud the announcements and the progress being made, but it's too slow. This is a gift to organized crime. And also this should be a reminder that what the police have been pleading for in terms of jurisdiction at the intermodal hubs and the Port of Montreal is absolutely critical. We've been saying again and again, this is for international resale. We've been saying again and again that the Port of Montreal and the intermodal hubs have to be part of the solution. And look what happens when you have that partnership. Look what they're able to achieve when they can actually open shipping containers. So I'm very proud of the incredible work today, but I also see this as a wake-up call and a reminder that we need to do more, that we can't see this. For this incredible work. Thank you to the Auto Theft Unit. You make our community so proud, and you send a message that you will be arrested in the region of Peel if you commit nefarious acts like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now open up the floor for questions.
Hi, I have a question for the Chief. Hi, Chief. This is Shubi. I'm from Y Media Group. I wanted to ask, Patrick mentioned that the Peel Police Board, they did write a letter about the catch and release. Because you guys, like your officers are working very hard to catch these criminals, but then they're just walking out. So did you ever hear back on the letter that you guys
I had a meeting with the Minister of Justice about it, and he said it would be under consideration. But
Okay.
My point that I was making is it can't be just under consideration. There's urgency to this when you see the same individuals released again and again, and there's a ton of resources going into this effort. It's not fair to the effort that's going in if these individuals are released so easily.
Okay. And then just another, so what would you suggest the residents of the Peel region do as of right now? Because it's kind of getting out of hand. We had 2 cases that were reported to us as well, where one street they hired security and they saved a truck, and another street had security.
You know, aside from the obvious in relation to prevention and some of the things that the community can do, I think they are doing what they need to do. It's very clear to anybody that lives in Peel or works in Peel that this is a priority for our community. And, you know, very similar to the support we've had from our board and stakeholders. Our community supports our police service in advocating for the changes that are necessary in order to protect them from organized auto theft. So they need to keep asking the questions. Why are these people being arrested? Why are these cars, when I have a tracking device on it and I call police, why are they not able to collect that vehicle on my behalf? So, my message to them would be keep asking the questions and advocating on your behalf.
So much.
Good morning. This is Nitin Chopra from Prime Asia TV. 16 arrested and they are already out on bail. I want to hear from the investigator officer. First of all, congrats to whole of the team, to law enforcement, how they feel when the people, repeated offender, when they catch and system releases them. And also Mayor Brown, as for last 4 years, you made a lot of videos asking the governments, concerned governments, for the bail reforms. And still we are into revolving doors, as mentioned. So what else can we do? And this can't be a wake-up call, because wake-up call could have been 4 years ago when this process started. Investigator officer, thank you.
Thank you. Your question was, personal opinion on how we feel as investigators in relation to the catch and release program. I've got a dedicated group here, myself and Detective Haywood. These guys come into work every day. They're doing the investigations. It does get frustrating, but we have a job to do, and there's things that we need to do in the community and serve the community. So we come in. We can't, take things personal and sit there and have be slighted by anything that goes on. We just put forward our best effort, and we lay the charges and push it forward for the criminal justice system. I think we have the right management in place with the mayor and the community behind us as well. I think they're doing the proper channels of advocating and being a voice for us. That's the nice thing that we're very fortunate here to have, is management from the top down supports us and allows us and assists us in these investigations.
So I would just add that there was some progress made in the sense that the advocacy that was embarked upon 4 years ago for bail reform did result in new legislation for guns and drugs. And so that came into effect January 1st. What our concerted plea now is that there needs to be additional provisions when it comes to property theft. Do you recall the recent Project 24 Carat, that famous gold heist that the police were able to dismantle? That was an example of, even though it was $20 million worth of gold, because it's property, many of the individuals were released very shortly thereafter. And so I think this speaks as a reminder that we do need to take property crime in particular, everything from gold to cars, more seriously. And I hope that when the Minister of Justice reads the report of this incredible police work, they'll realize that this is a missing component that needs to be addressed.
Anyone can answer that. When a vehicle is stolen, the insurance company, they take 14 days or 20 days, and then they pass the claim to the owner. So what happens with the recovered stolen vehicles? Because that's already a taxpayer's money is lost when the claim is given to the owner. And when police recover these stolen vehicles, so what we do with these vehicles then?
So upon the recovery of vehicles, we process them. They go to our forensic bays where they go through, looking for fingerprints and DNA in that aspect. The vehicles are then returned. If there isn't a payout, it goes back to the insurance company. We do our best to be out there responding to these and recovering these vehicles. Also with, the assistance of CBSA, it's helped us in a lot of recoveries and able to, identify containers and get those vehicles back for individuals.
Sorry, I would just maybe add and complement that with, it's really important to understand that the insurance companies are not being excised from this conversation. Our police service is doing everything we can to work with the stakeholders that have the ability to make change for our community. Just this past weekend, we were at the national conference for CAA insurance brokers to share what the issue is, to share what can be done, and what particularly they can do to help us address the issue of auto theft. So thank you for that question, Neaton.
Hello, Graham First from the Brampton Guardian. Well, I guess it was last week that the federal government announced some new measures sort of aimed at curbing auto thefts. I'm just wondering what you guys think was good about that announcement and what more needs to be done based on, what's happened so far.
Thank you for the question. And as Mayor Brown did indicate, we are appreciative of the responsiveness from the federal government to make some changes. From the policing community, we have highlighted sort of like a menu board of different responses that could tighten the net. Some of it involves the international community, inclusive of how, from a federal level, we deal with international policing agencies like Interpol. So some of the announcements last week was investments in that space for the sharing of information. We know that it's not just the Peel-Brampton issue. It is, as we illustrated earlier, right to the ports of Oman or UAE. So you can see from the federal government, the announcements are aimed at some of those spaces, and we completely welcome that. We do, and we have gone to efforts to outline other recommendations, as the mayor has suggested, that might be legislative changes, even court process changes, treating the theft of a vehicle not just as a commodity, but very similar to the way that we see drug trafficking, et cetera. So in our view, there are many, many things that can be done, inclusive strengthening intermodals and the Port Authority. I know that the deputy and our board and mayor are looking at how the U.S. manages their ports of exit. There are obviously learning points that can be implemented. So, everything's welcome, and we just obviously desire more.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and bearing with us during this weather. If there are any other further questions, we can move inside if you're looking for further comments. But I, again, would like to thank you for attending, and this concludes our announcement.